Lies of P is a game developed by NeoWiz Games and Round 8 Studio. The game is a retelling of the Pinocchio tale in a Victorian Belle Epoque-style world. Taking place in the city of Crot, the residents lived comfortably along with their puppets that were manufactured by famous inventor Lorenzini Vanini and master craftsman Giuseppe Geppetto. These puppets would perform mostly labor tasks to make the lives easier on the citizens. One day, however, the puppets attacked their fellow humans in an unexpected frenzy, killing almost all of Crot's citizens. At the same time, there is the petrification disease spreading all throughout the city, leaving the remaining survivors taking shelter in their homes, reminiscing on the better days they lived, while the puppets and other deadly life forms roam the streets. Waking up in the aftermath of this disaster is a special puppet, Geppetto's greatest creation known only by the name of P. It's up to P to put a stop to the puppet frenzy and the petrification disease while learning more about the world he's found himself in. Its gameplay and formula are heavily inspired off of From Software's Soulsborne titles, and when I say heavily inspired, I might as well just be saying plagiarism. It's that close. When I first heard of this game, I thought, here we go, another studio trying to make a quick buck off the FromSoft formula. After the first 20 minutes of actually playing this game, that feeling was completely gone. There's no question it's meant to be like a Soulsborne game, but the way the developers crafted this game with such care and passion gave me the feeling I had when I first played the original Dark Souls over 10 years ago. Lies of P is not a low-end cash grab that is bound to be forgotten. Instead, the game comes off as an artwork of appreciation toward From Software. The game basically says, we love how you make your games, and we want to take a crack at it ourselves. And they absolutely succeeded. With this being a Souls-like title, it also has the same build elements. You can have a Dex build under Technique, a Strength build under Motivity, an Elemental build under Advance, or you can find a good mix somewhere in between with Balance. Further supporting a preferred playstyle, the game gives the player the Legion arm, akin to the Shinobi prosthetic from Sekiro. It grants the player special abilities like the puppet string that can pull an enemy in, or you, towards the enemy. If you fully upgrade it, you can grapple onto an enemy while launching a devastating attack. Other options include, but are not limited to, a flamethrower, or an arm that can plant landmines. This allows the player to expand upon the playstyle they choose, or make for creative strategies. There's also the parry system that functions almost identically to Sekiro. The more attacks you parry, the closer you are to putting an enemy in a staggered state, indicated by a pulsing white box around their health bar. When this happens, performing a charge attack and successfully landing the last hit of that attack will stagger them into a winded and vulnerable position, which the player can then use to initiate a critical attack. Enemies also have special attacks of their own, known as Fury attacks, where they'll glow bright red and take a great chunk of HP from you. These attacks can only be parried or avoided if you're out of range. Then there's the guard regain, which is losing a small bit of health by blocking an attack but failing to parry it, but there is a chance to replenish that lost health by attacking back within a small time window. This is obviously taken from Bloodborne's rally system. But they didn't just stop by taking some of FromSoft's elements and merging them into a game. They also introduced some ideas of their own, such as the P-Organ, that allows you to upgrade specific abilities or even add some new ones through the use of quartz. It also has a special attack called Fable Arts that charges over successful exchanges in combat, and can release a powerful aggressive attack, a retaliatory one, fortify a special attack if it's an advanced weapon, or in some cases modify the weapon to be a bit more fitting to a particular playstyle. Lies of P also lets you add a little bit more customization with your moveset through the weapon assembly system, which allows you to take the head of one weapon and place it on the handle of another. Do you like the characteristics and damage of a dagger but don't like its range? Assemble the blade on the handle of a spear. Like having a heavy weapon but it swings too slowly? Place it on the end of a police baton handle. This weapon assembly system also affects which Fable Arts moveset you have depending on what handle and blade you have assembled, which allows further fine-tuning to the playstyle you want to have. Combat, as a whole, is so fleshed out the player is well equipped for the quest ahead, which will officially begin when you reach Hotel Crot, the last safe place in the land, a sanctuary where you will meet characters that give you the tools that aid you through the perilous terrain ahead, where you'll fight against unique enemies with strengths, weaknesses, and of course movesets of their own. Some that are absolutely obnoxious, and others that are a complete joke. These areas have a history to them, and some people that are tied to that history or belong to a particular faction still remain, including some characters you might find familiar if you've read the original Pinocchio story. That might even include a boss. And the bosses in this game are fantastic. You'll get to learn who they are and what role they play in the story through dialogue or an item foreshadowing the event. They each have an intricate moveset to master that is not just different, but creative and intuitive to who or what they are. They also require specific strategies. Some moves are better off dodging than trying to parry, and if you're struggling, you can always summon a Spectre to help you out. When you stagger the boss, the game indicates exactly where you need to place your character to land a critical attack. This is one of the best things this game does because FromSoft games don't even do this. These bosses are what gives the player a sense of accomplishment once they've finally beaten them. And you actually feel like you're not only more powerful as P by using the ergo you receive to level up, but you, the player, has actually gotten better because you actually learned the moveset of the boss. This is a challenging game, but overcoming these challenges is what makes it great, just like the Souls games do. It gives the player a sense of vulnerability, which in turn emphasizes the amount of safety you feel when you're taking a break from all the danger at Hotel Krat. Whether it's to catch up on a side story, or to extend your P organ, while listening to one of the records you've acquired. These records have some of the best tracks I've ever heard. They're not just a gimmicky collectible. All the records are actual performances by real musicians, and listening to these tracks enhance the emotions you feel when looking back at your journey while resting at the hotel. All the times you failed and pushed forward. The times where you finally beat that boss, or pondering the future ahead of you after making a specific choice in dialogue with a character. Because much like in Soulsborne games, you'll be met with choices to make, and the devs brilliantly supplement these with the options to tell a harsh truth or a comforting lie. Each choice will determine what possible rewards you can obtain and which of the three endings you receive. Some characters might later become a merchant who can sell you items like armor to improve your resistance towards specific types of attacks, or cosmetics, which are embellished with personality that also complement the art style of the game. I personally prefer the ass hat, and you get it extremely early in the game, which makes it even better. And the recently added Hound Mask might be my second favorite. But these actually aren't even purchased from merchants. A lot of items you'll have to find as you progress through the game regularly. Items you pick up might be the pathway to some hidden treasure. Or simply a note alluding to a particular strength or weakness of an enemy. And the game knows if you've read what's in the items, as shown here where you learn a new gesture by getting to the last page. Don't overlook these items. The stories and lore alone make it worth the read. The writers for this game have made it feel so alive because it's not just the main story the game focuses on. This is a living, breathing world that feels as if it existed before the player was even dropped into it. There are so many great things about this game, I can't really explain it all without giving away plot points or spoiling a specific moment I think the player should experience for themselves. But like every video game in existence, there are some issues. Some enemies on rare occasions would be able to combo me into a stun lock. And yes, this is after the latest patch, so I'm not talking about this bastard. Sometimes when I got an enemy's health down to danger levels, they started to spam a fury attack. Now, this is not common, and it might be RNG, but it's still annoying when it does happen. Sometimes the camera doesn't pull back far enough to see what's even going on, so you have no idea what attack is coming. Sometimes when you're behind an enemy, the backstab prompt does not show up, because while you may be behind the character model, their hitbox might be facing somewhere else, and you have to be quick when landing these, because these only pop up for a split second before the enemy corrects their direction. But that's it. And most of these issues are so small you really could just argue it's a matter of getting good, rather than needing a patch. The game has very few flaws, and the developers have been extremely active with the community because they're listening to feedback. Fine-tuning an aspect, tweaking an ability, whatever it is, it seems the player base is actually being listened to, even though the game is already spectacular. There was never a dull moment in this game. The setting, the characters, the seamless transitions, the gameplay, the music, the small details that often go unnoticed or underappreciated. All of this passionately amalgamated into a work of art. This game is so good I sometimes wonder if everyone who worked on it even realizes what they've created. Lies of P immersed me into a different world like old games did. I had a true break from reality. The game was genuinely therapeutic, and in the grand scheme of things, it's all about how an experience makes you feel. Lies of P made me feel warmth inside, like I had my time well invested. It provoked a thought or two about what it means to be human, and it reminded me, like the Soulsborne titles do, that never giving up can show you what you're truly made of.
When